Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is that you are. Welcome back to another episode on the Annoyed Dad channel. So we've got a few different things going on today, a little bit busy. Start off with, I am doing some grass seeding. Not the greatest of grass in the world, I will admit, but it needs doing. And where are we now? We're in the middle of September. We're the weekend after the Queen's died, to give you a rough idea as to what the date is. And basically, I went down to one of the local big box stores. The wife wanted to go and have a look, you know, as they do, sort of like thing. And so we went down there, and they were flogging these off for, I think they were 50p a box. So it covers 20 square meters. So I picked up their last 4 boxes. I thought that would do nicely. And yeah, just some areas that need a little bit of filling in. It's not the perfect time of the year to be doing it, because ideally you want to be doing it. Still didn't get that right. I made the hole bigger, but I didn't make it quite big enough bigger. There we go. That's better. Look at that, eh? So ideally you want to be doing this in about March time, so it's got the whole year's worth to be going forward on it. But if you can't do it in March, then you do it in September, and then it will start to germinate, and then it will overwinter itself, and then it's ready to go for next year. So these are just some areas that are a bit bare and a bit barren. So I'm going to do it here, because this has all been trod on by the horses. This is actually a weed that's covered it at the minute, so that'll actually help to protect the seed and start to germinate. You might actually see we're a little bit greener. Last week we had, what was it, 3 days worth of rain, and it came down for 3 days, and it was like brilliant, excellent. But that was the first rain that we'd had since I'd done the when's this drought going to end video, which is quite a few weeks. So yeah, I'm going to spread this box down here, and then I will show you where else we're spreading it, and then we'll move on and we'll do some other jobs. Oh, just out of interest, I do keep banging on that there is something going on up here. I know that some of you know what it is and some of you don't know what it is, but that story has taken more twists and more turns. One day that's going to come out as a video, and it's going to be a hell of a story to tell you. And if you don't own land, or if you've never tried to do anything in a rural area, it will give you an idea as to some of the hurdles that you face when you try to do anything in a rural area. So anyway, I'm going to get on with spreading this, and we'll be back in a second. So with all the seed going down, it all comes down to the old saying that you might know, which is one for the mouse, one for the crow, one to let rot, and one to grow. And that was an olden days seed rhyme that they used to use. Right, so we are getting there with this. So what I'm looking for is, I'm looking at these sparse areas. You can see all the seed that's scattered all over them now. So that's what I want. I want up here to be nice and lush. So the reason why I make a bigger hole, as I said, it comes out quicker. You get to cover more, well, you don't cover more area, but you certainly get more coming out, and it's able to spread itself a lot better, is what I find personally. So the wind's been a great help there. That's helping to carry some. I can see where it's all going and all landing. Brilliant. There we go. Right, that's another job done. On with the show. Right, I've had some of you guys banging on at me for a little while now that these tractors, these 2 tractors here, look, you see how much water we've had, how much rain we've had, sorry, water we've had, no, that don't sound right, does it? And the tractors and the lawnmowers here, how they should be undercover, how leaving them out is just going to let them slow rot, and the other tractor is around in the field at the top there. So we're doing that, we are doing something. So what are we doing? Right, let me just explain, and we'll try to get it right. So in here is a cage. You can see it just behind the tree there. I haven't used it in ages because there was a slight little incident with the fox getting in there. So I need to make that fox proof. Then what will happen is we will take these guys in here, because they really need somewhere a bit bigger, and Steve-O the disabled duck, we will take them and we will stick them in there. They will go in there. And this whole enclosure is coming down. It's not the greatest of enclosures. Like you can see, I've got a bit of wood down here because the bottom of the door is just rotted away. So that stops stuff getting in there, basically. And if you look in, you can see that the roof is all falling down. I've tried everything with this roof, and short of spending a load of money on it, which isn't really worth it because it's so rotten. It's been here ever since we moved in. It's so rotten, it just needs to come down. So that's all going. We'll get rid of that, and then we'll obviously have to do something just here, because otherwise the chickens from here will be able to get out. So get rid of those birds, get rid of that enclosure, leaving us clear there. And then we got this, which isn't used at all anymore. It used to house our turkeys, but now it's used by chickens as a way to run and join in with the geese. So we're going to take this down, reassemble it over there, and then we'll be able to use this to keep the vehicles under. And then we had planned to do this all summer long, but because the ground has been so hard, we wouldn't have been able to whack in any posts for the fence here. So we're going to whack in a fence along here, have a proper gate that actually goes through to the geese, and try to have a way of keeping the chickens out of the geese, because all we'll do is we will reuse the wire that's on here, because there's plenty of wire on here. We'll reuse that as part of the fence and get it in that way, because obviously we wouldn't need the wire once we put it in for the tractors. We would only need the posts. So yeah, that is my job for this next week, I suppose. It's going to take me, what with work and everything else, trying to get it all done. But then we should be able to get a couple of tractors and a lawnmower underneath there, and hopefully stop them from rotting away over the winter. Righty, so the first job in being able to get everything done is to get the skirting on around here, so as Mr. Fox can't get under. That's what happened before. You may remember back to when we actually put these up long time ago. We did a video on it. I did say then one of the jobs I need to do is to put the skirting on, and I thought here in the orchard we were relatively safe, but somehow a fox got in from over there, came round, and he killed everything that was in there. So to be able to put these guys in, skirting's going on, as you can see. So I dug the hole all the way around. Skirting's now going in. So this is large enough to stop the fox getting through, and it won't stop rats and that. There's still enough room there for a rat to be able to get through. But then I don't really want to stop them, because I'd rather them just go straight through if they are about, rather than chewing and making holes in everything. So you can see just around here, I've already filled it in. So it goes all the way around the side there. And just down there, I've had to trim it to be able to get around the corner, but we can then place something over the top of that. Now there will be those of you I know who will be screaming at your screens right now saying that's not deep enough. But yeah, I've always found that to be plenty deep enough. Go down one spade's depth. So I've got my spade here, so I go down the length of the spade, and that's normally enough. You can bend the wire over, that's fine, and then as soon as the vegetation starts to grow, it will be there and it will bind it all in, and it will hold it all into the ground. So all I need to do next is, once I've filled in this bit, is I just need to clip the skirting up onto the main wire so as it's just held in place. Now you may remember when I'd done a very similar sort of thing on the outer fence not long after we moved in here. I actually done it in an L shape, so where you can see it's coming across the bottom there. I'd done that on our outer fence, and I had lots of people in the comments after that telling me that's no good, a fox would be straight through that, no issue at all. In reality, what happened was it took a couple of weeks for the grass to grow back. The grass then bound onto that, and there has been absolutely nothing has got underneath that fence ever since we've done it. So yeah, that's where we're at, that's what we're doing. So once I've done this, I've got in there secure, I can then move the birds out of there into here. It will take them 20 minutes to demolish that, and once they're in, then I can start to demolish their old enclosure. Okay, so we're skipping forward about a week. I suppose it's been about a week since I was last down here, and I filmed that last little bit. And you can see that the birds are in. It's not quite 100% finished yet. Birds have only been in there for 2 days, and they are clearing it all for me. There's apples in there, there's stinging nettles, there's a few other bits and pieces. Does still need a couple of bits and pieces doing, including the tarp all the way over the top of it. Last year I seem to remember that it got incredibly muddy in there. Obviously because there's birds and it's just dirt on the floor, and there's nothing to stop the rain from just coming straight through. So I'm going to tarp the whole of that all the way over the top, so as they're a bit more protected. But anyway, let's go round to the main thing that we're looking at, if I can avoid being attacked by the tree that suddenly jumps out at me. Oh look, there's a money pit stood there. Oh, he's had a haircut. See, bold pony. Right, so I got a bit carried away. Just a little bit. It's one of those things where when you start it, you just sort of like keep going. And it was bits where I'd repaired it and I was just jumping in there to do something, and I was just undoing my repairs basically, and then the whole lot just started to fall apart. But it's been up there ever since we bought the place, so it's obviously been left stood for what, let's say at least 5 years before we moved in. And yeah, so now that's gone. But you can see I've kept the panels because obviously they've got the wire in it, and the wire in it is good, so that can be reused for stuff. But all of the wood is just rotten. See, there's nothing to it. Bits of rotten wood. And down at the bottom bits, this is where it's all been stood in stuff. So it's all just falling away. Nothing to it. So yeah, so we're getting them down. So I'm going to clean out the rest of that, get the rest of that down. And then I've got to work out what I'm going to do with this corner. Do I take the panel that is there and try to do some repairs and just move it across a little bit, and then start the new building from there and go backwards? Or what do I do? I don't quite know. But I was looking at things and I was seeing that the edge here and the edge to the wifey's shed is there. So I want to try to get it so as it doesn't really go past the wifey's shed if I can help it. But if it does, then there's various other things that we're able to do. So I might actually move it across so the middle of it's a bit more here, so the edge of it is against the wifey's shed. It'll all become clear in a minute. Right, I'm going to clear the rest of this, get rid of this, and then we'll cut back in and we will see how we're going to work out what goes where, when, why and how. Well, I just breathed really heavily on it and it's gone. No, it did take a little bit more than that. You know, there was areas where the wire was on there and I'd actually clipped the wire in, and that was held in quite well. But other than that, no, that came down really, really easily. As easy as I expected it to be. So I've just been round, I measured up the cage. You can just see the cage sticking through the trees there, the green bits of it. And I've measured that and it is 4 meters by 6 meters, which should, in theory, be more than enough for me to be able to park the tractors and the lawnmowers and everything else like that in there, because it will give us a floor space of 24 square meters, 6 times 4. There we go. Simple maths with a new dad. So I've been and I've measured it out, and let me show you. If I put the back bit in here, say up against where I've left this incredibly bad piece of the poultry board stuff, where I've left that there, if I put the back of it right up against here, because there's no need for me to want to go through that way really, we're going to have to go in line with the shed. So we're going to leave a gap here. You see where the shed is there? So we're going to leave this bit as a gap, but don't worry, I've got plans. So we'll go along the shed, alongside the shed, and it'll go roughly to the front of that lawnmower there, that red one. So it'll go roughly there, and it'll come across to here, where the drinker is. So that'll then give me enough room to be able to walk along this side here to be able to get through. But I've also got another idea, but I've got too many ideas at the minute. So yeah, it'll go in a big square like that. Rectangle, sorry, like that. So this whole area will be covered, and fingers crossed, that should give me more than enough room. I'll be able to park a tractor next to a tractor, a ride-on lawnmower next to a ride-on lawnmower, and a few other bits and pieces as well. But what it also means is for right now, I can take all of these boardings and all of these panels and stuff, and I can lean them back up against that wall there, and then they're out of my way, and I know they're going to be out of the way of the build. But now I've got to think, what do I do next? Do I take down the enclosure, or do I do the fencing that's going to run next to it? Now, you might have seen that there is a way out of there to be able to get through, and I've told the wife she needs to find somewhere new for a muck heap because it can't keep being put where it's currently being put. So I might see about putting a muck heap down that way somewhere. But we've got to work this all out. Let's go. Well, there you go, it's in! Woohoo! They're in, they're up, they've been moved. I think that's possibly going to have to be the last time that it is moved, because it just don't seem to like it at all. And things get stuck, so that's like a round tube, and where the tubes get stuck, you then have to hit these to try to get them out, and you end up with them being deshaped and deformed like that. I did get hold of one of the companies that makes these a little while back, and I said, how much would a replacement part be? Because let's go under and have a look. Ooh, without hitting my head. So you can see down there I'm missing a bit, and you can see down there another one's rusted away. And I said, how much would it be just for a replacement one? And they said each one is going to be £15. And I was like, crikey. I was expecting like a £5 or something stupid like that, but 15 quid, I'm not going to pay. What's it going to be? 15, 30s, another one 45, you know, it all adds up. And I'm not going to pay it just to hold it slightly more together. So anyway, they're up, they're in. We got 3 bays, if you remember from where we done it over the back there, because we had lost a load of these joints where they'd rusted away. I moved it down to being 3 bays, so each bay is 2 meters long. So you've got these 2 which are joined together, and then you've got this one which is like a standalone one on its own at the end. So they're in. That is roughly how it's going to look, and I put them up and I thought, brilliant, fantastic, that looks good. But then you realise, if we come round here, we're going up against the wife's shed, which is fun. I don't mind doing that, so I could lay the tarp over the top. But then when it rains, all the water off that tarp is just going to go straight onto her shed, which again, fine, I don't mind that happening, but it's then going to make it damp, and it's then going to go through to the horsey stuff that she's got stored and stacked up inside of there. And then she's going to start to moan, and then she's going to start to add on more jobs for me, and you know, extra things that need to be done because that water's going onto there. So I'd rather not have that water going onto there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to push everything that way. And we've got to push it, what's that, about 1 metre or so this way. And I have measured it up, I did work it out. So what that means is where I've still got this piece in here, that's got to go, we've got to get rid of that. Clear this bit, clear where the gate is, and move everything that way. When you move it across 1 metre, oh, I can't get the tape measure straight away now, but I can give you a rough idea. See, with big feet, we can go about 1 metre. So it comes to about there-ish, or there, something like that. So the whole lot's going to have to be moved over. So I'm going to have to move over all of the posts and everything else like that. Now, you may think, oh no, that's going to be a nightmare, it's going to be a pain, you don't want to be doing that. It's true, I don't want to be doing that, but I can be doing it. It's not exactly in there very tight and very hard. So yeah, next job is to clear out that, move it all across, redo all of that. The reason why it's so loose is because if you're a long time reader of the channel, you'll realise that these were put in when we first moved here. This was one of the first jobs I ever done, and it was like June or July or something, and so when I whacked them in, I couldn't exactly whack them in very far because the ground was so hard. Now we've had so much rain, I can do that. So clear this lot, move everything down, get it pushed back, and then fingers crossed we'll be just about there and ready to go. Right, there we go, that's better. You can see, hopefully, back corner just there is now in behind the shed. So it's only just in there loosely at the minute. So you can see there's a nice big gap. So any rain that falls, if we come around this side, any rain that falls, it's not going to go onto the shed here, as I just explained. It's going to go down there, and it will go down onto the floor at the minute.
because the reason being is what I'm thinking now it's in and it's up, is I can actually get some big bits of wood and I can put them from the top bar here over to the chicken coop. Let me show you. I'll take that bit there. It might not be long enough, but it might be long enough. It will just about be long enough. So we can do something like that all the way along. And that'll then mean that any rain that falls over that side will go down onto the coop, and then from the coop it just goes straight off the other side of the coop, and then it goes down the hill, which would be fantastic. But yeah, anyway, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, you know, let's just try to get things going so as we've got somewhere to store the tractors. Now you might be able to see that the pipes down the bottom there, they're not exactly imperfect because the ground needs a little bit of levelling. Everything needs a little bit of levelling up. Some of these here, you might be able to see just where that's slipped out of there because it's in there loose still, so that needs to go back in, be put back in. Just the final touches, just to tighten everything up. And then I think I've got a tarp I can whack over it temporarily. It was a tarp that was on this while it was around there, but around there was really subject to the wind. Just in here, you're not quite too bad because you've got everything, all the trees and that in the way that just sort of like calm it down a little bit. So we might get a tarp on it, empty it out, and then possibly bring in a tractor or two and see where we can go. But yeah, I've reused some of the poultry panels that came off the thing that was here. Like I do need to, I'll have to change these bits in them and that. But just as like a temporary measure, that's in there. Got a brand new post in there, which is post-created in, and that is going nowhere. I need to do another post for the other side of the gate here, but I can do that at any time. But that'll be quite good because I also want to be able to tighten up some of this here, because you can see how it's loose and that, and the barbed wire needs to be tightened up as well. So I'll be able to strain up all of that once I put in a new post, get that done. But it doesn't need to be done today, right this second. That's a when I get a moment sort of job, that there can be done. But yeah, it's looking quite good. Right, so I'm just going to crack on, do the finishing touches, and then hopefully we'll be able to see how it looks. Well, there we go. We've now emptied it out and it looks a bit different. It looks a bit better, I think. So you can see I've lined up all of the lawnmowers. And one thing I did spot whilst I was looking at them is this is the lawnmower that we use week in, week out. If it was a normal week, we would be using this every single week. But this year, because it's been so dry, it's been used like once a month or whatever. Because the grass just hasn't grown. It's grown now because we're getting rain. And you can see the state of its body. It's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. And a bracket is actually snapped off that holds on all of the steering bits and pieces to it. So it's not very good. But then I've got this one here, which has got a seized up engine, and I've been looking for an engine for it for ages, absolutely ages, and I haven't been able to find one. But they're exactly the same, but they've got slightly different and like a decals. So that one there and that one there, but you can see they're both 125-96. So I think over the winter what we'll do is we'll do an engine swap on them. We'll take that engine off of there and we'll put it onto there, and then we'll swap over the tyres as well, and we'll get this one ready to go for next season. So as we got one with slightly better bodywork, and hopefully after being underneath here it will be a slight improvement. And we've still got the old wheel horse from 1974. We got that one to try to get going as well. That's going to be fun. But now we're undercover. Well, we're not undercover now, but we will be shortly. So the tarpaulin I just mentioned that I thought might be quite good is this one down here. Unfortunately, this tarpaulin is actually holier than the Pope, and it's not wide enough to cover it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video there, and you might ask yourself, how long does it take me to make a video? Well, long enough for the grass to start growing. That's how long it takes me to make one of these videos, especially when it's done over something like this. And with the evenings drawing in now, it's getting worse. So if you would like to see when we move the Fordson Dexter, the Massey Ferguson 35 and the International Harvester into there, and we get it all covered over and we get it all finished up, hit that subscribe button. And until the next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.